Welcome to Diversity Conversations, where we engage in thought-provoking dialogue to identify leadership solutions to today's most challenging conflicts. Stream live each week, Saturday 9:30 a.m. to 11 a.m. Hosted by Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Strategist and CEOs Eric Ellis and Tommy Lewis. Join us and add your voice to this engaging diversity conversation.
Good morning, Greater Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky, the United States, and the world. My name is Eric Ellis, and I'm the president and CEO of Integrity Development Corporation. And I'm joined this morning by my good friend and brother,
Tommy Lewis, president and CEO of Make It Plain Consulting. Good morning, Eric.
What's up, Tommy? What's up?
Hey, nothing much. Hey, it's a great Saturday morning again.
Yes, sir.
It's crisp in the air.
Yes, sir.
The sun is coming out.
Right.
And it's a good day to be alive and having this conversation.
Absolutely. We are excited, community. We thank you for joining us again for an exciting conversation this morning. We've got a great guest that we're looking forward to introducing to you. But Tommy, why don't we start by talking about your week, man? How was your week?
Had a very, very good week, Eric. 3 things happened.
Okay.
One, we're in a process of bringing some new talent to Make It Plain Consulting.
Right.
We reached out to the region and the nation. We had about 150 applicants for one position,
right,
and had to narrow that down. And now we're moving into the second round. We interviewed about 20 folks.
Mm-hmm.
So it's looking very, very promising that folks are going to be joining the company as we continue to grow across the nation. So exciting to do that.
Right. Before you move on, I would say that it is an exciting time to bring on new life. And the thing is, Tommy, you're like me. You're the kind of person that works hard to make it work with your people.
Absolutely.
And sometimes that's easy work because we got great people, but not all the time, right? Sometimes we have thorny situations and challenges. And so when we have to graduate from those challenges, it can be exciting to look at the world of possibilities and all the exciting people that are interested and motivated to want to be a part of Make It Plain.
You're right on point, Eric, because what we're finding, and we've been learning this for 20 years easily, that we are faith-based people, faith-centered. So
that's right.
Regardless of the faith, so we have Christians, Catholics, Jews, Muslims, they all work for us.
Right.
And some who are maybe eclectic, et cetera, et cetera. But we think that if you believe and you really know in your faith, then you become humble.
That's right.
And so what's been happening is that folks have, had some letters on a resume and they talk a good game with the question.
Right.
And then when they get in the role, it's, I am the boss.
Right. Why does that happen?
Hold on.
Right.
You're not the boss.
No.
Right.
The boss.
The boss is the boss. So we're having to figure folks out to say, what is it about maybe even greed? What is it about individualistic or individualism?
Right.
What is it about that mindset, maybe even spirit, that drives folks to say, I'm on board and I'm the one?
Right.
When I tell them, for 30 years of me being in business, I started the business, but I know it's not just me.
Right.
Hands down, I know. And so that's how the week has been, Eric, that we've been exploring not only the power of blessing, but the power of networking.
Yeah.
Right. How folks get connected with one another.
Right.
And then also the power of words. Be careful what you say and put out in the atmosphere. So what we put out is
preaching
love.
Early now.
Yeah.
Right.
We've been putting out this week and other weeks, put out a lot of love, the power of love, love, so that we got enough hate, Eric, enough hate. So
that's
we just try to overwhelm it with love.
I love that. Well, that's exactly where we're coming from as well. We want to thank our community for joining us early. Roger Miller,
Joe Jackson,
played ball at Wright State University as well.
Come on.
So Joe, so glad to have you with us from the East. And Tommy, as you were talking about that, I had a rapper that worked with me some time ago, man. And Our arrangement was he could record and everything for free. I had a contract with him, which was an 80-20 contract. 80%, if he ever, made anything that blew up, 80% would go to him, 20 to me. And so it happened that he got an opportunity. And he was getting signed by another label, and they were going to work out some financial deals. And so he was coming to me, Mr. Ellis, what should I do? I said, first of all, you should be excited that an opportunity has
Absolutely.
happened. I said, I'm excited with you. I said, you should be looking at what makes sense financially there. I said, but then thirdly, you ought to be thinking about how am I going to make this right with Mr. Ellis?
Indeed.
And, I used to just let artists, hope that they made the right call. So many of them made the wrong call that I just said, let me throw this in here.
Yeah.
And he basically said that he wasn't willing to do that. So he's been in the studio for 3 years for free. Now he's going to go out there and doesn't want to pay the bill. But I'm the kind of guy that I don't sweat that. And what happened is that then when he got out there, he needed some more marketing money. So then he wanted to come to me for invest.
Indeed.
Come on, bro.
Come on.
I can't do that. But here's the thing, Tommy, that I thought about. That what I saw, the way I looked at it, Tommy, was he had been working and hustling on his own behalf for many years. He left home at an early age. And so he's only been used to looking out for himself.
Wow.
And so I said, I get it. You've been hustling the whole way. So you actually just don't believe you can trust anybody but yourself. And then, that whole thing fell apart and he wanted to come back to the studio, which I allowed. I was okay with that. But I think, Tommy, that's what happens sometimes is that people are not used to people like you and me.
Right.
And they come into our environment trying to simply look out for themselves.
Yeah.
When you don't have to do that.
Come on, E.
That's what happened there.
Come on.
Somebody trying to look out for themselves under your cover. And in many ways, they don't know how that can demean you, disrespect you.
Yep.
It's going to get back to you. There's nobody. I mean, what are people thinking?
It's not going. Yeah,
people love you, man. So that ain't going to be a secret.
Yeah. They're gonna run and tell that.
Or I'm going to hear that from the spirit anyway.
I'm going to hear it. And that's where I heard it from first.
I know.
Yes, sir.
Right, E. Right.
My energy was like.
Right. Because I saw you fighting
to
try to make it work.
Come on.
You fighting to try to make it work. You're pushing back on some of your people to try to make it work. But people just sometimes aren't used to that. And that's okay too.
That's okay.
That's okay too.
Yes, sir.
Because you still wish the best for anybody that came through yours.
Yeah, I want you to be great.
Right.
Just somewhere else.
So this week, man, I was in New York. I had a chance to go to New York. Americans for the Arts has a new CEO.
Yep.
And so I went to New York and I met her. She's dynamic. I had a chance. I didn't see the game, but I did see the Boston Celtics.
Yeah. So
I took a video of who's his name? That got hurt, Jason?
Tatum.
That's who it is. Yeah. Got a video of him, and then he tore his Achilles tendon later on that evening. And then New York put them away yesterday. Good morning, Brooke. We're glad to have you with us again as well. But Tommy, it's been a good week, man, with the family. I'm grateful for the work that you and I do. I'm so passionate about creating new classes. I love the work that you and I get to do to try to make the world a better place. And so I'm just thankful to God. And certainly the enemy is trying to make that road harder. But Tommy, my prediction is that he can't stop what God has ordained.
Come on. Yep. Hey, Eric, it's going to be a great day. Again, Joe Jackson, Roger Miller in the community chiming in. Brooks, good to see you. I want to share this real quick before we bring up our illustrious guest here, Eric. This is new. I haven't shared this before. One of the highlights, Eric, of many that I have on this show is the community can't see this, and it's only literally you and I. Right. But when we say things that, and when I say something that our producer laughs, right? we can see our producer. She has a beautiful smile, a beautiful spirit. She's a beautiful person. And when she laughs, she's not a calm laugher like, no, Lydia is, right, and demonstrative. That makes my day. Right. She's very intelligent, engaging. And so as you were talking, and that was something I said and you said, I can see that she laughed. I'm like, okay, if there's 3 people we're talking to for the last 7 years, Eric, 7 years every Saturday.
That's right.
It's going to be 3 people. It's going to be 2 people. But today we have one more.
That's right.
One more. Bring our guest up, Eric.
We've got a guest with us today, Chiji Okezie, and she is the owner, producer, SIMPLEnetworking, a great new friend, a brilliant sister. We've posted some things and people are already weighing in on her being a guest with us today. We're delighted to introduce you to our community. And we always like to start by just having our guests introduce themselves to our community and talk a little bit about your growing up even, and who are the people and experiences that have made you who you are today.
All right. Well, thank you, Tommy and Eric, for having me. It's great to be on the show, and I'm excited to be here. I am zooming in or streaming live from Atlanta, Georgia, Metro Atlanta, Georgia, and I am owner and producer of SIMPLEnetworking, LLC. It is a consulting firm which specializes in business networking, diversity, equity, inclusion, inclusive leadership, and cultural awareness. And if you're looking at my name and you say Chiji Okezie, sounds kind of cool. I've heard it's cool, it's weird, it's interesting. My parents are Nigerian immigrants. So I was actually born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. So I am a Yankee. And my dad came to the United States in the mid-60s to go to school. And how that came about is that after Nigeria had their Biafra War and won their independence in 1960s, it opened up the door for, more commerce, a lot of liberation and things of that nature. So he and his older brothers were supposed to go to the United Kingdom to go to school or to go to university. But my dad had a fascination with John F. Kennedy and decided to go to the United States. So the running joke, Tommy and Eric, is that Chiji should have been born in York, England, instead of New York.
Indeed.
So yes.
Great story.
And the business, like I said, I got the license 19 years ago, but I've been taking it seriously for about 9. And I basically teach the art of networking, which is very niche, how to network, how to build relationships, and then go deeper into creating a networking plan, streamlining your networking, as well as using AI and different components in order to optimize and use your resources and time effectively, as well as talking about branding. I love telling stories. That's part of my heritage. Okay. Storytelling is a big thing when it comes to networking, engaging, and relating to people as well. And I speak 3 languages. So English was my first language, my parents' maternal language, which is Igbo, Nigerian language, and I picked up French while I was in school.
Indeed.
Awesome.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. If you could, just for a moment, you spoke about really getting licensed as a business 19 years ago, and then taking it seriously, quote unquote, right, 9 years ago or so. Can you talk a little bit about that journey from here's my idea for my business, get it licensed, certified, registered, all that good stuff, and then working through whatever you had to work through to get to a point of 9 years ago or the point of now? What was that?
Yeah, great question, Tommy. We always want to be legit, right? We want to get that license. We want to protect ourselves, make sure we get those certifications so that I am professional, I'm credible, I'm trustworthy, and feel confident in doing business, right? And that's separating business from personal, having a business account, like I said, and I'm registered with the federal government and local governments and state government as well. And for a long time, I was actually working full time and doing the business on the side. And there are pros and cons to that. Results may vary, but it just got to a point where I had to choose what's it going to be, right? And so I ended up taking it full time, had to adjust in every single area of my life. But nonetheless, I mean, I was passionate about it. And I know we use passionate as a term a little bit too often, but really like focused, discipline, and using that time or using that framework in order to create and build something. And that involves, like you mentioned, getting certifications, staying on top of that. If there's one thing that I've learned about being a business entrepreneur, once you pay for something, you keep paying for it.
Yes, ma'am.
That's right. That's
There's no one-time flat fee.
Yeah. Right. Well, let me ask you to sort of talk about who are the kind of clients that you serve and what are the kinds of insights that you're able to help them discover.
Absolutely. So clients have basically still been universities, colleges, educational institutions, federal agencies, as well as associations and companies. I am a solopreneur, so I do work on my own, but I do contract and also leverage technology to look bigger than what I am, right?
Excellent. We've all done that, doing that.
Right.
But I find that being able to work with bigger companies and organizations and associations help me to leverage in regards to piggyback marketing, piggyback networking, and also being able to leverage their resources, whether it's their marketing capabilities, their space, or the room to actually do the presentations, the workshops, in person and virtually, as well as the notoriety, like working with companies and aligning with their brand.
So go a little deeper. Piggyback marketing. Okay. What does that mean?
So piggyback marketing is where, let's say I have a consultation with a mid-sized to large company and they want to take on my networking workshops or networking virtual, of course, webinars. So what I'm basically doing is helping them engage their employees, helping with communications and also internal networking. So with that being said, they actually handle the marketing in regards to setting up. I work with them to send them my bio, my headshot, and any other like key takeaways from the training, the development training program or the development training events, and they put it together and market it internally. So that definitely saves me time and energy. And then also they handle the registration. So whichever link or whoever sees the notification or the event and wants to attend, they will take care of that. And then they also offer the space. So they will offer the training space, whether in person or virtually. And then usually it could be a lunch and learn. It can be something that may be 2 or 3 hours long. So they will also offer the beverages as well as the refreshments. So what Chi-Chi does seamlessly, Tommy and Eric, is walk in, do the presentation, and walk out. That's the
yes.
Okay. Well, let me do a chaser question here, and then I'm going to let Tommy jump in.
Okay.
And then if our community weighs in with questions, Lydia, bring those up as well. Okay. Everybody hears the word networking and thinks they know what to do. And so what is it that people are missing as it relates to networking internally within organizations, externally? What do you see as some of the greatest problems around people's networking strategies that make them more ineffective? What would you say are the top 3 to 5 strategies that you are sort of encouraging people to lean into?
Great question. So many times people do not have a plan for networking.
Okay.
We have a plan to lose weight or be more active, more fit. We have a plan to retire. We have a plan to get a job, get a promotion, or look for another opportunity. We have a plan to go on vacation. We have a plan to go back to school. When you ask general public, right? Like, what is it? Family Feud, we've surveyed 100 people. Most of the time, they do not have a plan for networking. The word on the street is just go out there, just network, just meet people, just show up.
Right.
Doesn't really work that way.
Right.
Doesn't really work that way. That's one. So don't have a plan. Number two is the follow-up. Oh my God. I could teach a whole degree course on following up. It's cool that you've gone to the events, you have your elevator pitch, you've connected with people, you've had great conversations, you've met new people, and then you come back home, you come back to your office, and you don't follow up.
Right.
So did you really network?
Right.
If you didn't follow up? I use the analogy of a baker. A baker a baker wants to bake a cake. So they have all the ingredients. They have the pan, they mix everything together, and they put it in the oven and they walk away. They didn't turn on the oven. They just put it in the oven and walked away. So in about an hour, maybe 45 minutes, Tommy, Eric, do we have a cake?
No.
It's kind of like with networking. You do all that energy. You go there, you meet people, you have great conversations, but you don't follow up. It's like that baker that did not turn on the oven. And here's the other piece. When you turn on the oven, do you just turn it on any degree and walk away? No, you have to pay attention to it, check on it. Same thing with following up. You don't just throw out a message. You have to craft it, make it personalized, and then continue to follow up and nurture that relationship.
Chi, I love this. And I'm reminded with the analogy is great for me. And so with baking, you put, the ingredients in the pan, it goes into the oven, turn it on. You have to have it at the right temperature. Right. What I've learned in networking, sometimes people come in too hot. They come in too hot.
Right, run you over.
The network is, give me this opportunity. I'm connecting with you. Right. It is a pleasure for you to meet me. That's what I hear people coming in. I'm going to repeat that. It's a pleasure for you to meet me. That's the network. Too hot. Sometimes people come in too cold, right? You can have a networking event, in person or virtual, and folks, it can be 500 people in person, 1,000 people virtually, and folks are sitting in the cut, right? Because I'm in the space, I am quote unquote networking. They're coming in cold. And then they leave the event like, that was a poor networking event. I did not get one business card, one connection, one number. It's like, was it the people or was it you? Sometimes in baking that cake, it is not the ingredients, it's the baker. It's the chef. And so what I'm hearing from you is talk to the chefs now, talk to the bakers. How do we best network such that it's not one way, that both parties benefit, person to person or person to organization, organization to person? How should one best network such that it is simple and not complicated?
Excellent question. So in regards to that, what I recommend is, first of all, when you're networking, have a purpose, right? Have a goal of what you want to achieve. And when you're connecting with people, it shouldn't be a lecture, right? Or a monologue, like a TED Talk. You're engaging, you're asking questions. So that goes along with something that I created within my business called, you have emotional intelligence. There's something called networking intelligence. Okay. This is when you're leaning into, and this is what I learned learning different languages, leaning into people's expressions. Nonverbal communication speaks louder than you can think. And even just listening and paying attention and going with the flow of the conversation. And then also adding value. And I want to be very careful the way I say this, because sometimes, to your point, when people come in too hot and they're like, well, I did this, I did that, I'm certified here, I'm certified that. I believe there's a way that you can do it where you're not really bragging per se, but you're offering relevant information to build your credibility and trust with that person.
Now, our community is weighing in enthusiastically with what you're saying. And I agree with our community. They've said networking is listening more, talking less, replace advice giving with curiosity. Do you want to weigh in on those?
So yes, In regards to listening more and talking less, I think that can work both ways. I'll give an example. I went to a networking event a few weeks ago, and it was not the typical networking event, you guys. It was at a sports bar. There was drinking, loud noise, and it was at the Battery for the Atlanta Braves, right? Yep. And I just thought, oh God, I should have stayed home. I'm not going to get any really deep contacts, and all these people are just kind of tipsy and this, that. And then they also had some game that they were playing, which I have my feelings about networking games. It was more focused on the game than actually meeting and talking to people, but that's a whole different story.
Right.
Yeah.
So there was a table with a group of guys, and I was like, just sit down there and eat your dinner. So I sit down, everyone's laughing and joking, and the guy turns around and he says to me, so what do you do? Yeah. And I could have easily been like, oh, not me. Let me tell me, what do you do? No,
right.
I answered the question. I said, let me tell you what I do. I do presentations on professional development training. And the night before the day before, I worked with the elite group of business entrepreneurs, African Americans, through the Rice Foundation or the Rice program, which is the Russell Innovation Center for Entrepreneurs. So if you're familiar with H.J. Russell, who is a he had a does consulting, but construction business. Construction,
huge.
Yes, huge in Atlanta, helped with the Atlanta International Airport, Maynard Jackson, and Hartsfield, Maynard Jackson International Airport, all this good stuff. So when I said that, because remember, I just answered the question, he says, wow, like H.J. Russell? Because I met his son, fascinating guy, great guy, very sharp. Wait a minute, you do presentations for his company? Can you do presentations for mine?
Come on.
Answer the question. Don't deflect.
Okay.
Do not deflect. Please hear me.
Yeah.
Do not deflect. That is an opportunity. That is an open door. That is a platform. Because I easily could have said, oh, no, sir. Let me hear about you. Let me hear what you do. What brought you to this event?
That's a good point. How many opportunities does one have to answer the first question? Right? Because if we're all busy, which we all are, and we're, adult beverages, games, untraditional networking piece, and I turn to you and I ask, what do you do? I may be interested in asking you that. That's why I asked. Right? That's why I asked.
That's why you asked.
If you don't answer it, thank you, bye-bye. I don't need to ask you any other questions because you can't even answer the question I'm asking. But when you do answer and the person says, well, tell me more. Tell me more. You got them on the hook, right? And you can't pull too far because the fish
don't want to lose fish.
Don't want to lose it.
Right.
So now, Chi, you've been asked the question, you've answered the question, and then there's a follow-up question of, can you do work for us?
And let me make this clear, Tommy. I don't mean to cut you off. You're getting me really excited here. I have good pressure. You make me too excited.
Let's go.
And then the other piece is that when we connect, you gotta follow up. I followed up right there when we were at the table. I had my phone, my LinkedIn app, because I mostly use LinkedIn. That's how I engage with most of my customers and my clients and colleagues. Was able to get on LinkedIn and we connected right away. And then from there, I got his email address, followed up that evening or the day before. I know we're all tired. We all have things to do. But with my email, I can draft the email, maybe use AI to support that, and then schedule it for the next day.
Yep.
So it is done. That was the key. And so, of course, when he receives the information, and I always tell people, make sure that it's short, it's concise, it's personalized, but you got to follow up. So we've done all this work. It's all in stages. It's not going to happen overnight. And it might. Results may vary, but you want to make sure that you're doing every single step to get to the next level or to connect properly. So if I just said, Tommy, Eric, this is what I do. Oh, that sounds really interesting. Can you do presentations for my company? Yeah, sure. Absolutely. Let me have another drink. Let me get this. And then I'll get back to you in a week or two. Is he going to remember me? Yeah. Is he going to still be interested? Is he going to take me seriously?
Nope.
Let me ask you this. So I've got a two-part question here.
Okay.
First of all, I have found that many women, especially women of color, start by almost being offended by somebody saying, "So what do you do?" Because it feels oftentimes like that's a size up question. Like they are literally trying to size up whether you are worthy of me continuing to talk to you. So how do you get past that? Does that thought even come into your mind, number one? If so, how do you move past that in order to determine if they are asking me a question because they're interested or they're trying to evaluate, am I worthy of their time?
That's deep, Eric. we have less than an hour. It's perception, right? Lived experiences. I will say this, and I will get to your answer. Like for me, as I mentioned before, my name is Chichi Okezie, right? Chichi is a nickname. This is not my government name. I was not vaccinated under this name. When I do all of my official documents and file my taxes, which I file my taxes every year, it is not under Chichi. Right. So when people see my name, a lot of times they assume, I think they assume that I'm not American, that I have an accent, that I'm not really into the culture, or they have to, speak slower and use slower terms to be able to understand. That's some of the things that I encounter, right?
Right.
And so it was really interesting because I went to an event and I didn't have Chichi on my tag. I had my full name on there, which is Chinoyerum. It's 11 letters. It's a little bit long.
Chinoyerum.
Yep.
Yes, Chinoyerum. And I was like, you know what? Just leave it. Let me see how people are going to interact with me when they see my full name. And you'd be interested. Some people, still talk to me and said, hey, my name is so-and-so. What's your name? Some people avoided me because they didn't want to pronounce my name.
Right.
And I even had some people say, oh, they'll acknowledge it. Oh, your name is different. It's unique. It's unusual. I don't want to mispronounce it. So can you tell me what it is? So it is unique. It is different. It is unusual to you.
Right.
Not to me. Right. So when people ask you these questions, keep in mind that it may be awkward for them. They may not think that you size up, but that doesn't mean that you are awkward or that you don't size up, right?
Yeah. Well, let me jump in and say, see, that's what I love about the power of confidence, of being personally empowered. You see everything as an opportunity. It's really kind of shocking. I mean, I'm listening to you talk, and it's almost like a cat playing with his food. I mean, you go into events, it doesn't matter where they come from. You just kind of like, I'm down the street. I'll run down a couple more blocks and I'll run back, and that's encouraging. I think it's the way that we have to look at things. We cannot afford to be victimized ourselves. We have to, irregardless of what their intention is, you're seeing this as still an opportunity to maybe make a meaningful connection.
And let me make it very clear. Sometimes it could be your perception. It could be their perception. Yeah. It's not always psychosomatic. And I will give you a perfect example. So the banking institution that I use, I have mixed feelings about it, but nonetheless, it's what it is. I go into this institution, my banking, which I've had for quite some time now. I'm a valued customer, right? And I need to get I need to get some papers notarized because I'm sending it in for a proposal. So I can do it a free service from the banking institute. So I go to the teller, ask them, I'd like to get these papers notarized. I am, a member here, or I have an account here. So they take me to the room, they have the person come, and they're like, okay, we have these papers filled out. I just need you to sign my name here. I need you to put it here. Here's my ID. Here's my bank card. And I've learned after they're done, because remember, we're not signing under Chi-Chi, it's under Chinoyeram. Yeah. So I always check to make sure that they spelled my name correctly. It's just how it is. So it was not spelled correctly. Okay. Mm-hmm. So I say, excuse me, sir, you misspelled my name. And you know what he said to me? Are you sure?
Oh my God.
Oh my goodness. Are you sure?
Are you sure?
Spelled your name.
Keep in mind, that was just a few years ago, so I still look the same, grown, right. He's over 21. Mm-hmm.
Right.
Are you sure? Wow. It doesn't get more condescending than that. So we could have gone so many different ways, Tommy.
Right.
I could have perpetuated the angry Black woman.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. And rightfully so.
Right.
Yeah. I could have been like, I want to talk to your manager. I can't believe this. I'm a valued customer. No, we're going to calm down. We're going to take this easy, right? Said, okay, here is my valid government issued photo ID that has my full name on it.
Come on, Chi-Chi.
Check it with what you wrote, because this is the standard.
Come on, Chi-Chi.
We're not going to argue.
Right.
So of course he saw it and saw it was incorrect. Change it.
Yep.
That's it.
Let me move into another direction, then I'm gonna let Tommy jump in here.
Yeah.
So give us a sense of your plan. You're going into an event.
Yeah.
You may be the only woman of color. I want you to sort of help us understand it's a professional group. You know that there are potentially many clients in there. How do you prepare to network around that? How much study do you do in advance? Are you looking over the attendance sheet if you can? How are you preparing, and how are you sort of moving through that room?
Yeah, great question. So I've noticed after 9/11, we have issues with security now. At least in Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport, you cannot go straight to the gate anymore unless you are traveling, right? Before, you used to be able to just go to the gate, you used to be able to go shop and do all this stuff. So I also noticed with companies, organizations that are doing events, they will not give the attendee list for security reasons.
Right.
Okay? And then I've experienced events where the keynote or the person who's supposed to speak, unfortunately, was not able to make it. So we had to improvise and bring someone else. So it's not always the best you can connect with the speaker ahead of time, read their bio and have questions set up, but it's not always guaranteed that they're going to be there. So this is what I do. I see an event online and I'll go ahead and RSVP, pay, do whatever I have to do at least 2 or 3 days ahead of time. Usually with these notifications, Eventbrites, whatever these things may be, there's a contact name. If you have any questions, email XYZ, right? So I will go ahead and email that person and forward my registration, because remember, we want to show credibility. We want to show investment. I have already signed up. I plan to be there. I've paid, whatever that may be. So I forward the confirmation to that contact person and introduce myself. Once again, I'm using my elevator pitch that's written. I'm introducing myself, laying an opportunity or a platform to connect. Hi, my name is Chi-Chi Okezie. I'm owner and producer of Simple Networking, LLC. I heard about this event on your newsletter or through so-and-so and this. I've already registered and I'm looking forward to it. Before I attend, is there anything that I need to practice? Is there anything that I need to do? How many people are going to be there? Because Chi-Chi is an introvert. So let me know if there are going to be 10 people, 50 people, 100 people, at least so I know how many cards that I have. Well, we're going sustainable. So I just use a QR code, because a lot of times you can forget your business cards and things like that, or at least have my LinkedIn code on hand so they can scan me and we can connect on LinkedIn. How many people are you expecting? I am interested, because here we go. I've already figured out what my goal is. I would like to meet 2 or 3 people in this particular industry. If I come early, so here's the key, you got to come early.
Right.
Yep.
Can you take time to introduce me to these people?
Wow.
That's crazy. I love that. That's simple, but
It's simple.
that is thoughtful and strategic. And most of us, hands raised, just show up at the event. And then it's awkward. You trying to go up to groups that already know each other. I mean, just is going to be awkward. And sometimes you got to go to the restroom. It's not just women that are going and hiding out in the restrooms. It's people that are diverse. But I love that strategy, Tommy.
I love
and
it.
Even
too.
if, like, let's say that, they're short staffed, the coordinator or the person that registers, the assistant may not be able to get to your email, still arrive early and see who is in charge of the RSVP and say the same thing to them as well.
I think this is fantastic. Again, for our community, obviously you're hearing the best in class advice in simple networking. Simple, not making it difficult, over convoluted,
right,
with all that good stuff. And so if you haven't already, please continue to like and subscribe and to connect with Chi-Chi Okezie of Simple Networking through her LinkedIn account. My question is, Chi-Chi, I've been to a couple of your seminars, which have been fantastic. I've been to other networking seminars, etc., and I've learned some techniques. And I've applied those techniques over the last 15, 20, 30, 50 years.
Okay.
They're not working. They're not working. I'm frustrated. I keep going to these networking events and I'm not winning. What do you tell me?
That's good.
Okay, so you've been to my networking events and you're not winning? Is that right, Tommy? Did I hear that correctly?
Right. That's the generic.
That's the generic.
Yeah, you were a mystic attendee.
Hey, Chi-Chi
So
said,
then, here we go.
You were not paying attention because you wasn't winning. Right.
I was getting offended.
She could go any further.
Right.
So yes, okay. So that is a great scenario, case study. So what that means is that you probably are networking correctly, but just in the wrong method. Okay. So I compare networking to breathing. When you are born, if you don't have any respiratory issues, you automatically start breathing. So I feel some type of way when people say, oh, I'm a natural networker. Well, I think it's automatic. We operate in networks. We move, we engage, whether you think you're doing it or you're not, consciously, subconsciously, you're always networking, right? It's just that with breathing, there are certain techniques that you may have to use to adjust yourself in order to reach a goal. Like even with my mom, she's a retired nurse and midwife. So you have breathing techniques for the mother in child or birthing, right? Like Lamaze. When it comes to an athlete, they have different techniques for breathing in order to improve their performance. When it comes to relieving stress and anxiety, you have different breathing techniques. It's the same way in networking. You might have to change your technique for what you are trying to do in order to reach that goal. So yes, continue networking. And then also the cadence of your networking. Are you just doing it whenever you feel like it? Is it once every quarter? Is it once every week? What is the cadence of how you're doing it? And then also, once again, the method. Who are you engaging with and how are you positioning yourself? Remember, we talked about before connecting with the director or the contact person before the event and then following up. And then another thing, people think they can network on their own, right? I'm just a solo island by myself. You may need to join a professional group in order to network with other professionals. Remember now, iron sharpens iron.
Yes, ma'am.
I have also discovered, Chi-Chi, is that if I go around an event with somebody that knows my work, that person can sometimes give a third party credibility to me. And so it helps if you're not talking about yourself, but somebody is talking about you. Let me ask you.
You know what I call that, Eric?
What's that?
I have a term for that. That's tag team networking.
Yeah, absolutely. We can do it back and forth for each other. Absolutely. Right. I love that. Let me ask you this. If I'm going around an event What are your thoughts? Are you between sort of more people that you want to get to versus less people, but deeper sort of conversations with them? Where do you find or strike the balance between the two?
It's really challenging, and results may vary, as I've said before, because a lot of people think, okay, well, if I just get one person, then it wasn't as successful as I thought it would be. Quantity over quality, that kind of thing. But the thing is that when you're networking, you want to be able to connect with people. And networking events can be kind of difficult because you have a lot of people in the room, you have an agenda, there is a time frame. So, and there are also distractions, right? People going in and out of the conversation, things like that. So the point is to connect and to meet people, right? Like-minded, that are interested in you, that align with your values, that you believe would be great to work with or connect with, be able to refer, because networking isn't just about attending events. It's about building a network. So you can choose, if it's your networking style or persona, to just meet 10, 15, 20 people at an event, but just make sure that they remember you, you remember them, you've exchanged information, and you're able to follow up. Because the point is you want to connect with them later, whether it's a one-on-one for a breakfast, a coffee, even inviting them to another networking event. If you're a member of an organization, invite them as your guest. One of the things I like is to invite them to a lunch or to a breakfast, to an actual meal, because that way you can actually gauge how they operate. Because what I usually say is, how you do one thing is how you do everything. So imagine you've connected with someone at an event. You're like, we didn't have time to chat. I didn't have time to really know who you are, but I think you're very interesting. Let's have lunch together. I'm going to send you an invite. I'll cover the fee because I invited you. Come on, networking etiquette.
Yeah, right.
And we'll see how that goes. You can pick the restaurant, this, that, and the other. So now you can gauge how they connect with you, how they do business, and how they accommodate you. So for me, and Tommy must have missed this at one of my networking workshops, and that's perfectly fine. I will repeat it again. So you can actually gauge them by how they interact with you. So first of all, and you as well. So this is something for you from a professional standpoint. They've picked the place that they want to go. So before you go online, because we can do this now, and check the menu. You've already picked your food before you get there. So that when you arrive in real restaurants, they will not put out the order till everyone's ordered. You don't want to be the one sitting there waiting to figure things out.
Right.
You've already picked out what you're going to eat. You've already checked the menu and you have your questions. You arrive there 5-10 minutes early and you're waiting for the person, vice versa, right? And then also, how are you treating the staff, the server? That's very key. Just like if you were to interact with a CEO, how the CEO will want to know, how are you treating my assistant? How are you treating my employees? That's really critical. And then also, when you get to the event, how the lunch to sit down and eat. Once again, etiquette. How are you handling your utensils? How are you handling your food? How are you eating? How are you talking? These are things, it may seem kind of counterintuitive, but and I'm not trying to be sacrilegious here, but let's take it back to Gideon. How did Gideon pick the soldiers that were going to be in his army?
That's powerful. Let me ask you a big question now. This is a big, giant question. At least I'm saying it's big, giant question. We know that we actually, as consultants, have greater opportunity to grow deeper within the clients we serve versus always trying to onboard a new client. So my question to you is, with people like Tommy and I and everybody that's in our community, you have a deep well. We all have a deep well of people that we know, who know us, love us, follow us. What is your recommendation around the amount of time that we should spend sort of managing, curating our own network, our current network, versus going to events to try to sort of meet new people? And then how much time would you recommend that people spend in a day or in a week on this whole notion of networking?
So, great question, Eric, and results may vary. So let's take, we
I
have
knew
a
she'd say that.
utility company here in Atlanta, Metro Atlanta, which supplies pretty much most of the power that we have. I'm not going to say their name yet because they're not official sponsors, so they don't get that much advertisement. But nonetheless, they are key. There are so many different aspects of how I can engage with them. So when you meet someone at a networking event, the next step that you want to do is give them a position or a title in your network. Remember, networking is not about attending events. It's about building a network. What is their position? What is their title? Because once you can figure that out, then that automatically, right, sets the standard or the expectations of the type of relationship, the type of communication, how often you're going to communicate, and what you're actually going to say. So let me give you an example. This particular utility company, I am their customer. That means that I use their energy or their source for my electricity and all that kind of stuff. So they contact me every 25 days, right, to give me a bill for their service. And they are kind enough to tell me how much it costs, how I can pay, and all that good stuff. But they do it every 25, 21 days. If I were their, let's say, shareholder, they're not going to contact me every 21 days. They're going to contact me every single quarter, and they're not going to tell me their my electric bill. They're going to tell me what shares are, how the company is doing, right? If I have any dividends, if I have any stock options. That's the information they're going to give to me, and they're going to give it to me every quarter, every 3 months, because what? I am their shareholder. Okay. And then if I am someone that works with them that they sponsor as a nonprofit, then that's different, because then they will contact me when I have events that they need to sponsor. And then they're not sending me shareholder information. They're not sending me a bill. They want information from me. What are the sponsorship levels? How much money am I supposed to give you? When do you need that money? And then also the logo, this, that, do we need representatives to support? So it depends on what their position is in your network.
That was
not going to be the same
phenomenal
for everyone.
Yeah, I enjoyed that immensely because as you were walking through, in this case, the 3 different scenarios, I was looking at, for business-wise, our clients and the different levels of our clients of engagement. I was also looking at my personal network. And so I remember during the COVID time, there was a sentiment, not only in my family, but other families, that we should talk more. Folks, and during COVID, we felt isolated as human beings and wanted to reach out and call a loved one, right? And as you were talking, I'm like, damn, I haven't called one cousin since 2020, where in 2020 it was every month, every quarter, just touching base, just touching base. Now, as if I don't have to massage that network or massage that relationship. And so now I'm accountable to reaching out to my professional network with cadence, my personal network with cadence, and even with myself. Do I need to check in with myself to say, what information do I want, do I need, and information or updates about me? This was profound for me. I am different today than I was 10 years ago. So if you ask me what's new, I'm going to tell you what's new today, right? I do know that I have clients, I have people that, let's take it personal, that folks remember me from high school. Hey man, you still playing basketball and baseball and running track and all that good stuff? Nah, that was 36 years ago, bruh.
Right.
Oh, I thought you still doing that. We haven't talked in 35, 36 years. I'm different. But they would know this if I was intentional about keeping up with them, updating them, right? I think this is great. And I'm just thinking out loud because I know that our community, they are business owners, some of them. Some of them are professionals working in their own organizations. And so the networking is different for them. They may be networking not just for them, but networking for their company. And then we have folks that are trying to find their way. As I alluded to in my opening of what's new, we're hiring people at our company. And the first question we ask is, what do you know about Make It Plain Consulting? And we've had people who we're interviewing say, I don't know anything. Right? That's what they offer up. Nothing. So if I hear Chi right in communicating, what do we offer up? Right? What are we asking? What do we offer? Chi, my question, and thank you for allowing me to share that soliloquy, right? If there were 3 things that people do that are mistakes in the networking, right? I know there are a number of things, but if there were three things that surface, what are the 3 top mistakes that people make with regards to networking?
Number one, and a few people within your wonderful community have touched on it, you don't listen.
Indeed.
And listen goes through words, through people's actions and things like that, not listening. And also a lot of times it's not using your resources effectively. As I'd mentioned before, like when you are registering for an event and you see that contact email, reach out to that person and be able to create a rapport with them. You'll be able to get support with them, because it's challenging trying to work a room. It's challenging trying to interact with people that don't know you. So using your resources. So first, you're not listening. You're not using your resources effectively. And of course, you're not following up.
Let me ask this. In churches, so my question is going to be about how do we network in familiar places? And so I would say that I'm even discovering things about my own children. In other words, these are my kids that are in the house all the time, and yet I haven't known the full extent of their skill set in, for example, music and sort of technically recording and engineering music. I find that in churches, for example, that people can be members together for decades and literally not know what others do or have an opinion about them because they've walked past them in church, but actually not know their skill set and their effectiveness at maybe doing something that I might need. And so I may go out and get that service somewhere else because I don't know it exists here. And then if I know you, I actually don't know the quality of what you do. So what is your recommendation for those in our community that are part of churches or social organizations? How can they meaningfully network with, given those sort of paradigms that trap us into just saying small talk with each other?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a great question. That actually happened to me. In regards to churches, there was a young lady that was having issues with networking, and she was talking to one of the administrators, and the administrator actually connected both of us. And I invited her to one of my networking seminars, and it was fantastic. So especially in church, because you're mostly in church if you go once a week, for the service, the actual service and the program, and then you're leaving. So even connecting with the executive assistant or whoever is in charge with the membership, right? To find out, to sit with them and talk to them. Hey, I have my own business. I'm really interested in supporting the church as well as being able to give back and connect. Is there any way that you can give me information about those people that I can not necessarily network with, like service providers and vice versa? And that could even open up an opportunity for you to have a networking group within your church.
Right. I see this as an opportunity. I just asked you the question, and then I thought to myself, a lot of churches could really benefit from you coming in. And that's one of the things I'd like to do.
And the other thing is, like, we have small groups, and the small groups are focused on, different aspects of spirituality and growing your faith. There really isn't much about business type things. And it's a cliche. I'm not trying to be sacrilegious, but we all know that Jesus was the ultimate networker, and churches should be leading the path when it comes to networking and building relationships. There are many stories in the Bible that exemplify networking, building relationships, connecting with people, and even generational wealth and things like that. So to your point, the first thing to do is to reach out to the administration, whether it's in your church, whether it's in your association, and talk to them about that. I'm seeing a gap here. I would love to do business and connect with like-minded people spiritually in the similar faith, or even those that, as Tommy had mentioned before, different religions, but still having a connection and a bond. And I would love to do work with them. How can I enable that? How can I identify people that I can work with? And that could be anything from starting a group, meeting once a quarter, to even creating a directory.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that from my humble opinion, I think networking, strategic networking is very, very critical. In fact, just like having an accountant, just like having a financial manager, to get the best outcome, you have to make an investment. It's not a crapshoot. So with that being said, I believe that Chi and Simple Networking is an investment that people should make to really strengthen their strategies to get the outcome that they want. And it could be varied outcome. So again, I'm before I turn it to you to share how can people get in touch with you, and Eric and I say it all the time, you know, we've been in this work for 30 years, myself, 35 years for Eric. And we talk to people who say, hey, my company needs your services, but they don't call us to provide the service. Not shaming or blaming here.
Right.
But if you really want to develop your strategic networking skills from a simple networking perspective, contact Chi Okezie at Simple Networking. Chi, how might people get in touch with you?
You can definitely visit my website, SN Seminars, right? And you can email me at Okezie at SN Seminars. You guys, I am Googleable. I have a Google profile, business page and everything. And definitely, and I hope they don't do anything controversial, but they are great when it comes to supporting small and minority owned businesses. And then also, view this episode again to get my contact information as well. And yes, that's how you can reach out to me for sure.
Yeah, I would say this has been a great conversation today. As we come to a close, I would say that I'm going to follow up with you around churches, because most churches, I don't see them as being sophisticated enough to really handle this right up front. They either want to protect their members, or they covet what their members can do for the church, and they may not always see the value of members networking with one another and the value that it could bring to the church. So I think a case needs to be made around that for the average church. But today, I mean, we're going to have you back for sure.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
Today,
you might have to fly me into Cincinnati, and I'll go get a black polo shirt, and so I can sit in.
That's right. And then go golfing with
I missed the memo. I was like, wait a minute. I'm not dressed like that. What's going on?
That's right. Where your beauty on the inside and the out is infectious. It's a part of the power. You are doing what God created you to do. And we thank you for choosing to spend this Saturday morning with Tommy and I on Diversity Conversations. Tommy, you got the last word.
Again, we are excited, blessed, and highly favored to have continue to strengthen our own network. Chi Okezie of Simple Networking. To our community, thank you for joining us again for another installment of Diversity Conversations. Take care.
Take care now.